The rain hammered my shoulders as I stood at my own front door, key trembling in my hand. It wouldn't turn. I tried again, forcing it, twisting until my knuckles went white. Nothing. The lock had been changed. Behind me, my son's casket was still being lowered into the ground. The funeral was barely over. I could still smell the wet earth on my coat, still feel the cold metal of his coffin under my palm when I'd said my last goodbye. And now this. I knocked. Once. Twice. My fist pounding harder each time. The curtain moved. I saw her face in the window. Claire, my daughter-in-law. Dry. Composed. Not a tear in sight, just like at the funeral. She stared at me for what felt like forever, then the door cracked open. "You have 10 minutes to get out, Martin." Her voice was flat, cold, like she was telling me the weather forecast. What? I couldn't breathe. "Claire, what are you? 10 minutes. This isn't your house anymore." Have you ever felt the ground disappear beneath your feet? Not in some poetic way, but literally, like everything solid you've known just turns to smoke? That's what those words did to me. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. I built this house with my own hands. Every nail, every board, every coat of paint. My wife Evelyn picked out the colors. My son Aaron learned to walk on these floors. And now this woman, this stranger wearing my son's ring, was telling me I had 10 minutes to leave. "Aaron left it to me," she said, arms crossed like she was blocking a doorway to a store. "Not my life. Everything. The deed's in my name now." "That's impossible." My voice cracked. "He promised. He's dead, Martin. And I don't owe you explanations." The door slammed in my face. I stood there in the rain, soaked through, watching her through the window. She walked to the couch, the one I'd built from scratch when Aaron was 12, and poured herself a glass of wine. She sat down, crossed her legs, and smiled. Actually smiled. I didn't take anything. Couldn't move. Just stood there like a ghost haunting my own life while the woman who destroyed my son drank wine in my living room. But here's what Claire didn't know. What she couldn't have known. 3 days before Aaron died, he'd called me late at night, whispering so she wouldn't hear. "Dad, promise me something. Don't trust her with anything. I've made arrangements. Mr. Dalton has everything you need." At the time, I thought it was the medication talking, the morphine making him paranoid. I told him to rest, that everything would be fine. I was wrong. Because 72 hours after she locked me out, I got a call from Mr. Dalton, our family lawyer for 20 years. His voice was steady but urgent. "Martin, we need to talk. There's something you need to see. Something Aaron left for you." I drove to his office in a daze, still wearing the same black suit from the funeral. Still smelling like rain and dirt. Dalton didn't waste time. He slid an envelope across his desk. My name on it. Aaron's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. "Dad, if you're reading this, it means I didn't get the time I hoped for. I know Claire can be difficult, but I've made arrangements. You'll understand soon. The house, our house, is yours. Always has been. I left instructions with Mr. Dalton. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Love, Aaron." I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Then Dalton placed another document in front of me. "This is your son's real will, Martin. The one he filed with me directly. Not the one Claire submitted to probate." "What do you mean, the one Claire submitted?" His jaw tightened. "She forged it. Created a fake will that left everything to her. But Aaron anticipated this. He sent me 2 versions, one as a decoy, one real. He knew she'd try something." The room spun. Everything, The house, the savings, the life insurance, it all goes to you. With one condition. He pointed to a clause. If she interferes or acts in bad faith, she gets nothing. My throat closed. My boy. My smart, careful, loving boy. He'd protected me from beyond the grave. We're filing charges immediately, Dalton said. Forgery. Fraud. Possibly more. When Claire got served the papers, she called me. The same woman who gave me 10 minutes to leave was now sobbing into the phone. Martin, please. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought. I didn't say a word. Just held the phone to my ear, listening to her beg. Then I hung up. Because that's exactly what she'd done to me. Shut the door. Offered no explanation. No mercy. A week later, the locks were changed again. This time, by me. But this isn't just a story about a stolen house or a forged will. This is about the kind of person who waits for someone to die before showing their true face. The kind who smiles at funerals and pours wine while you stand in the rain. And what I'm about to tell you next, what Aaron discovered about Claire in his final months, will make you question everyone you think you know. Because there's more to this. So much more. What would you have done if someone locked you out of your own home the day you buried your child? I spent that first night after Dalton's call in a motel off Route 9. The kind with flickering neon signs and walls so thin you can hear every conversation, every argument, every life falling apart in real time. Mine was just louder than most. I couldn't sleep. Kept seeing Claire's face in that window. That smile. The casual way she sipped wine while I stood in the rain like some beggar. But now I knew the truth. Aaron had seen through her. Had planned for this exact moment. The question that kept me awake wasn't what she'd done. It was why Aaron married her in the first place. I met Claire 6 years ago at Aaron's company picnic. She worked in marketing for a firm downtown, always dressed sharp, always talking about her next client, her next campaign. She was confident in a way that made people listen. Made them believe. Aaron introduced us by the barbecue pit. Dad, this is Claire. Claire, this is the man who taught me everything. She smiled, warm, genuine, and shook my hand. Aaron talks about you constantly. Says you built your house from scratch. Every nail, I said, proud. That's incredible. You'll have to show me sometime. And she seemed to mean it. For the first year, she was perfect. She'd come over on Sundays, help me with the garden, ask about Evelyn. She called me Dad without hesitation, brought homemade cookies, laughed at my terrible jokes. When Aaron proposed, I gave them my blessing and paid for the wedding. $15,000. Half my retirement savings. But it wasn't about the money. It was about seeing my son happy. The wedding was beautiful. Claire looked stunning. Aaron couldn't stop smiling. I walked him down the aisle since Evelyn wasn't there to do it, and when I hugged him afterward, he whispered, "Thanks for everything, Dad. I love you." That was the last time things felt normal. The shift happened slowly. Like watching a photograph fade in the sun. You don't notice it day by day, but one morning you look at it and realize the faces are gone. First, the Sunday visits stopped. "We're busy," Claire would say. "Work's crazy." Then the phone calls got shorter. Aaron's voice got quieter. I'd ask him to come over, fix the Chevy like we used to, watch the game. He'd agree, then cancel last minute. "Claire planned something," he'd say. "Sorry, Dad." One time I drove to their apartment unannounced. Just wanted to drop off some of Evelyn's old recipes I thought Claire might like. Aaron answered the door, looking exhausted. "Dad, hey. This isn't a great time." Behind him, I heard her voice. Sharp. "Who is it?" "It's my father." "We're busy, Aaron." He looked at me with this apologetic smile that broke my heart. Can we do this another day? I handed him the recipes. Sure, son. Another day. He never used them. By year 3 of their marriage, I saw Aaron maybe once a month. And when I did, he wasn't the same. He was quieter, more careful with his words, like he was walking on glass. I asked him once, straight out, "Are you happy?" We were sitting on my porch, drinking coffee. He stared at his cup for a long time. "Yeah, Dad. I'm happy." But he wouldn't look at me when he said it. Then came the sickness. Aaron started feeling tired all the time, dizzy, losing weight. I begged him to see a doctor, but he kept putting it off. "It's just stress," he'd say. "Work's insane right now." Claire agreed. "He's fine, Martin. Stop worrying." But I knew my son. I knew when something was wrong. Finally, after he collapsed at work, they ran tests. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Inoperable. 6 months, maybe less. I got the call from Aaron, not Claire. His voice was shaking. "Dad, I need to tell you something." I knew before he said it. A father just knows. "How long?" I asked. 6 months. Maybe. I drove to their apartment immediately. Claire wasn't there. "Business trip," Aaron said. But I didn't care. I held my son and let him cry into my shoulder like he used to when he was a kid and the world felt too big. "I'm scared, Dad." "I know. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." I offered to move in, help take care of him. He looked at me with this sad, desperate hope. "I'd like that." But when Claire came back, she shut it down immediately. "We don't need help, Martin. Aaron and I can handle this." Handle this? I stared at her. "He's dying, Claire. I'm aware. And he doesn't need you hovering, making things worse." Aaron didn't argue. Just looked at the floor. So I did what I could from a distance. Brought over meals Claire never ate. Called every day. Sometimes Aaron would answer, sometimes he wouldn't. On the days he did, we'd talk for hours. About everything. About nothing. About memories. And then, 3 weeks before he died, he called me at 2 in the morning. Whispering. "Dad, you still awake?" "Always." "What's wrong?" "I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't trust Claire. With anything. I've made arrangements with Mr. Dalton. He'll explain everything when the time comes." My chest tightened. "Aaron, what's going on?" "Just promise me. Promise you won't let her take what's yours." "I promise." He hung up. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. When Aaron passed 3 weeks later, I was holding his hand. Claire was in the hallway, on her phone, talking about some client meeting. He looked at me with those tired eyes and smiled. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too, son." Then he was gone. Claire didn't cry at the hospital. Didn't cry at the funeral. Just stood there in her black dress, shaking hands, accepting condolences like she was at a networking event. And when it was over, she locked me out of my own house. But now, sitting in that motel room with Aaron's letter in my hands, I understood. He'd known. All along, he'd known exactly who she was. And he'd left me the proof. The next morning, Dalton called again. "Martin, there's more. Aaron left a flash drive with me. Said to give it to you after everything was filed. You need to see what's on it." What was on that flash drive would destroy Claire completely. But it would also break my heart all over again. I met Dalton at his office the next morning. He looked like he hadn't slept either. There were files stacked on his desk, legal pads covered in notes, and in the center of it all, a small silver flash drive. "Before I give this to you," Dalton said, "I need you to prepare yourself. What's on here? It's going to be hard to watch. What is it? Aaron recorded everything. 4 months. He documented what was happening in that house. What she was doing to him. He slid the flash drive across the desk. He wanted you to know the truth. All of it. My hands shook as I picked it up. Dalton set up his laptop and stepped back. I'll give you privacy. No. Stay. He nodded and sat down. I plugged in the drive. There were dozens of video files, all labeled with dates. The oldest was from 8 months before Aaron died. I clicked on the first one. Aaron's face filled the screen. He looked exhausted, sitting in what I recognized as their bedroom. The camera was positioned low, probably hidden. "Dad," he said quietly, glancing at the door. "If you're watching this, it means I'm gone. And it means Claire probably tried to take everything from you." He rubbed his face. "I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you years ago." My throat tightened. "I need you to see what I've been living with. What I've been too ashamed to tell you." He took a breath. "This is from tonight. Watch." The video cut to a different angle, a hidden camera in the living room. The timestamp showed it was recorded that same night, just hours earlier. Claire walked into frame, phone pressed to her ear. She was laughing. "No, he has no idea," she said. "The life insurance alone is $500,000. Plus the house, the savings. I'll be set." She poured herself wine. 6 months, they said. Maybe less. I just have to wait it out. My stomach turned. "Of course I'll play the grieving widow. I'm good at that." She laughed again. "Trust me, his father won't be a problem. Old man's probably got 1 foot in the grave himself." I paused the video. Couldn't breathe. Dalton's voice was quiet. "There's more. 23 videos total." I forced myself to continue. The next video showed Aaron confronting her. "I heard you on the phone last night." Claire barely looked up from her laptop. So you were talking about my life insurance. About waiting for me to die." She closed the laptop slowly. "You're dying, Aaron. We both know it. I'm just being practical." "Practical?" His voice cracked. "I'm your husband. You're a paycheck. That's all you've ever been." She stood up, walked past him. "And when you're gone, I'll finally be free of this boring life you dragged me into." Aaron just stood there, frozen. She turned back. "Oh, and your father? He's not getting a dime. I've already talked to a lawyer. I'll make sure of it." The video ended. I sat there staring at the black screen. My son had lived with this. 4 months. While he was dying, while his body was failing, he'd been trapped with a woman who saw him as nothing more than money. "Keep going," Dalton said gently. "You need to see all of it." The third video showed Claire going through Aaron's files while he slept. She photographed documents, sent emails, made calls to lawyers I didn't recognize. The fourth showed her telling Aaron's doctor to reduce his pain medication. "He doesn't need that much. He's just being dramatic." The fifth showed her yelling at Aaron for calling me. "Your father is pathetic. Stop running to him like a child." Video after video. Months of psychological torture. Months of a dying man being treated like garbage by the person who was supposed to love him. By the 10th video, I was crying. By the 15th, I was angry. By the 20th, I wanted to destroy her. The final video was recorded 2 days before Aaron died. He looked skeletal, could barely sit up, but his eyes were clear. "Dad, if you're watching this, it means Dalton did his job. Everything I own, the house, the money, everything, it's yours, not hers. I made sure of it." He coughed, wincing. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to leave her. Sorry I wasted so much time. But I'm not sorry for protecting you." Tears ran down his face. "I love you, Dad. And I'm sorry you have to see all this. But I needed you to know who she really is. I needed you to understand why I did what I did." He reached toward the camera. "Don't let her win. Promise me." The video ended. I sat there in silence for a long time. Dalton didn't say anything. Just let me process. Finally, I spoke. She knew. The whole time, she knew he was recording. "No," Dalton said. "She had no idea. Erin was careful. Very careful. And the will she filed? Complete forgery. She altered a draft Erin had shown her months ago, before he got sick. Changed every detail. Put her name on everything. Then submitted it to probate the day after he died. That's illegal. Very. And now we have proof." Dalton gestured to the flash drive. "Along with these videos showing her intent to defraud you, we have more than enough to press criminal charges." "What happens now?" "We file. The DA gets involved. She'll be arrested for fraud, forgery, possibly more. And you get everything Erin wanted you to have." I looked at the flash drive in my hand. My son's final gift. His final protection. How long until she's arrested? 2 days. Maybe 3. They're building the case now. I nodded slowly. I want to be there when it happens. Martin. I want to see her face when she realizes she lost. Dalton studied me for a moment, then nodded. "I'll make sure you're notified." I left his office with the flash drive in my pocket and my son's voice in my head. "Don't let her win. Promise me." 2 days later, I got the call. "She's being arrested this afternoon. 4 o'clock. At the house." "Your house," I reminded myself. I drove to Willow Creek Lane and parked across the street. At exactly 4 o'clock, 2 police cars pulled up. Claire answered the door in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, wine glass in hand. She looked annoyed. "Can I help you?" "Claire Claiborne, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and attempted theft." Her face went white. They read her rights while she stammered excuses, tried to explain, tried to cry. But the officers weren't listening. As they led her to the car in handcuffs, she saw me standing across the street. Our eyes met. And I smiled. The same smile she'd given me through the window that rainy night. She screamed my name as they put her in the car, but I just stood there watching until they drove away. Then I walked up to my front door, and used my new key to unlock it. The house smelled like her perfume. Like something foreign and wrong. But that would change. Because this house was mine again. Just like Erin wanted. But as I walked through the rooms, I found something Claire had left behind. Something that would change everything I thought I knew. The house felt wrong. Not just because Claire had been living in it, but because it didn't feel like home anymore. Everything was rearranged. Different furniture. Different paint colors. Like she'd tried to erase us completely. I walked through each room slowly, taking inventory. The living room where Erin took his first steps, now filled with modern furniture I didn't recognize. The kitchen where Evelyn used to make Sunday dinners, now sterile and white. The photos on the walls were gone, replaced with abstract art. She'd tried to erase my family from our own house. I spent that first night boxing up her belongings. Clothes, shoes, expensive makeup, bottles of wine. All of it went into trash bags. I wasn't gentle about it. Around midnight, I made my way to Erin's old bedroom. The room I'd built for him when he was 7, where he'd studied for exams, where he'd told me about Claire the first time. Claire had turned it into an office. There was a desk against the wall, a filing cabinet, a laptop plugged in and charging. I was about to leave when I noticed something, a small leather journal tucked between two books on the shelf. I pulled it out. The cover was worn, the pages dog-eared. I opened it. Erin's handwriting. My heart stopped. It was a diary. Dated entries going back 3 years. I sat on the floor and started reading. The first entry was from shortly after his wedding. Claire asked me today how much life insurance I have through work. Thought it was a weird question for a newlywed, but I told her. She smiled and said, "That's good. That's really good." Something about it felt off, but maybe I'm overthinking. I flipped forward. 6 months later. Dad called today. Wanted to know if we could have dinner Sunday. I said yes, but Claire got upset. Said I spend too much time with him. That I need to cut the cord. I don't understand. He's my father. Why is that a problem? Further, Claire's been going through my emails. I noticed my laptop moved, and when I checked the history, she'd been looking at my work accounts, my bank statements, everything. When I asked her about it, she said she was just making sure everything was organized. But why wouldn't she ask me first? The entries got darker. I'm starting to think marrying her was a mistake. She's not the person I thought she was. But I don't know how to tell Dad. He paid for the wedding. He was so happy for me. How do I tell him I was wrong? I had to stop reading. Put the journal down. Breathe. My son had known. For years, he'd known something was wrong. And he'd suffered in silence because he didn't want to disappoint me. I picked the journal back up. Got the diagnosis today. Stage 4. 6 months. When I told Claire, she didn't cry. Didn't hug me. Just asked, "How much is the life insurance payout?" I can't believe that's the first thing she said. I can't believe the woman I married is asking about money while I'm dying. My hands shook. I've started recording her. I know it's wrong, but I need proof. I need Dad to know the truth when I'm gone. Because I know she'll try to take everything from him. I know she'll lock him out, take the house, take everything Evelyn left us. I won't let that happen. The final entry was dated 3 days before Erin died. I'm so tired, Dad. Not just from the cancer, but from pretending. From acting like everything's okay when the person I'm living with sees me as a paycheck. I'm tired of being weak. Of not having the courage to leave. But I did one thing right. I protected you. Mr. Dalton has everything. The real will, the videos, all of it. She won't win. I won't let her. I love you, Dad. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry I wasn't the son you deserved. The entry ended there. I sat on the floor of my son's room and cried. Not quiet tears, but the kind that shakes your whole body. The kind that comes from years of grief finally breaking through. Erin thought he wasn't the son I deserved. But the truth was, I didn't deserve him. He'd spent his final months protecting me instead of protecting himself. He'd endured abuse, manipulation, and cruelty just to make sure I'd be okay. And I'd had no idea. I spent the rest of the night reading through the journal. There were pages of notes about Claire's behavior, conversations he'd overheard, suspicious phone calls, meetings with lawyers she thought he didn't know about. Erin had documented everything. But one entry stood out. Dated 2 months before his death. Claire had lunch with someone today. She didn't know I saw. But I followed her. She met with a man I didn't recognize. They talked for over an hour, laughing, drinking wine. She touched his arm. She leaned close. When I asked her about it later, she said it was a work colleague. But I looked him up. He doesn't work for her company. He's a private investigator. My blood ran cold. Why would Claire hire a private investigator? What was she looking for? The next day, I called Dalton. I found Aaron's journal. There's something you need to see. I brought it to his office. He read through the relevant entries, his expression darkening. She hired an investigator, he said. That means she was planning this for months. Maybe longer. Planning what? I don't know yet. But we need to find out. He picked up his phone. I'm calling the DA. This changes things. 2 hours later, I was sitting in the district attorney's office with Dalton and a detective named Sarah Mills. Mills was in her 40s, sharp-eyed, no nonsense. She read through Aaron's journal entries and looked up at me. Mr. Claiborne, did your son ever mention feeling threatened by his wife? Not directly. But he called me once, late at night, and told me not to trust her. Did he specify why? No. Just said he'd made arrangements with Mr. Dalton. Mills nodded. We're building a case against Claire for fraud and forgery. But if she hired an investigator, there might be more to this. Do you have any idea what she might have been looking for? I thought about it. The only thing valuable Aaron had was the house and his life insurance, which she thought she'd inherit. Right. Mills tapped her pen on the desk. What if she wasn't investigating your son? What if she was investigating you? The room went quiet. Why would she investigate me? To find leverage. To find something she could use to contest the will if things didn't go her way. Mills leaned forward. Mr. Claiborne, do you have any secrets? Anything in your past that someone could exploit? I thought hard. No. I've lived a quiet life. Worked construction, raised my son, stayed out of trouble. No debts. No legal issues. Nothing. Dalton looked at Mills. So what was she looking for? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. Mills stood up. I'll subpoena her phone records, bank statements, everything. If she hired an investigator, there's a paper trail. 3 days later, Mills called me. We found something. Can you come to my office? I went immediately. Mills had a stack of papers on her desk. Claire's bank records. She paid a private investigator named Marcus Lowe $15,000 over 6 months. He filed reports weekly. Reports about what? You. My stomach dropped. Mills slid a document across the desk. Lowe followed you, documented your routines, interviewed people you know. He was building a profile. Why? Because Claire wasn't just planning to take the house. She was planning to have you declared mentally incompetent. The room tilted. What? If she could prove you were unfit to manage your affairs, she could contest Aaron's will and have herself appointed as executor. She'd control everything. I couldn't speak. Mills continued. Lowe's reports claim you showed signs of memory loss, erratic behavior, inability to care for yourself. It's all fabricated, but it would have been enough to start legal proceedings. She was going to have me declared insane. Essentially, yes. Dalton's voice was tight. Can we use this? Absolutely. It shows premeditation, intent to defraud, and elder abuse. We're adding charges. Mills looked at me. Mr. Claiborne, your son saved you from something much worse than losing a house. He saved you from losing your freedom. I drove home in a daze. Claire hadn't just wanted my house. She'd wanted to erase me completely. Lock me away, take control of my life, make me disappear. And Aaron had known. Somehow, he'd known. That night, I sat in the living room, my living room, and thought about everything my son had done to protect me. The will. The videos. The journal. He'd built a fortress around me, brick by brick, even as he was dying. But there was still one question I couldn't answer. Why had Aaron married her in the first place? The trial started 3 weeks later. Claire pleaded not guilty to all charges: fraud, forgery, attempted theft, elder abuse conspiracy. Her lawyer was expensive, polished, and argued that everything was a misunderstanding. My client loved her husband deeply and is devastated by these accusations, he said in his opening statement. She made mistakes during an emotionally difficult time, but there was no criminal intent. I sat in the courtroom every single day. Front row. Eyes locked on Claire. She never looked at me once. The prosecution presented Aaron's real will first. Authenticated, notarized, filed properly with Dalton months before Aaron died. It was ironclad. Then they presented the forged version Claire had submitted. Side by side, the differences were obvious. Different signatures, different dates, different beneficiaries. Claire's lawyer tried to claim she'd been confused. Mrs. Claiborne was grieving. She submitted documents she believed to be legitimate. But then the prosecution played the videos. The courtroom went silent as Aaron's hidden camera footage played on screens. Claire's voice filled the room, cold and calculating. The life insurance alone is $500,000. I just have to wait it out. Gasps from the jury. More videos. Claire going through Aaron's files. Calling lawyers. Reducing his medication. Telling him he was pathetic. By the time the prosecution finished, half the courtroom was in tears. Claire sat frozen, her face pale. Then came the investigator. Detective Mills took the stand and presented Marcus Lowe's reports. $15,000 paid over 6 months to build a fake case against me. The defendant intended to have Mr. Claiborne declared mentally incompetent so she could control his estate, Mills testified. She was building a case to erase him completely. The jury looked disgusted. Claire's lawyer tried to recover during cross-examination, but there was nothing he could do. The evidence was overwhelming. On the 4th day, I was called to testify. I walked to the stand, placed my hand on the Bible, and swore to tell the truth. Then I looked directly at Claire for the first time since the trial started. She finally looked back. The prosecutor asked me to describe the day of Aaron's funeral. I told them everything. The rain. The locked door. Claire's smile as she sipped wine while I stood outside. And when she told you to leave, how did that make you feel? Like I'd lost my son twice. The courtroom was silent. Mr. Claiborne, did your son ever indicate that he was afraid of his wife? He called me 3 weeks before he died and told me not to trust her. He said he'd made arrangements to protect me. And did he? Yes. He left me everything. The house, his savings, his life insurance. And he left video evidence showing exactly who she was. Why do you think he did that? I looked at Claire. Because he knew she'd try to destroy me. And he couldn't let that happen. Even dying, even in pain, he spent his last days protecting his father. My voice broke. That's the kind of man my son was. And she treated him like garbage. The prosecutor nodded. No further questions. Claire's lawyer stood up for cross-examination. He tried to make me seem vindictive, tried to suggest I'd manipulated Aaron. Isn't it possible your son was confused? That the medication affected his judgment? No. How can you be sure? Because I knew my son. And everything he predicted came true. She locked me out. She forged the will. She tried to have me declared incompetent. Aaron knew exactly what she'd do because he'd been living with her for years. The lawyer had no response. On the 7th day, the jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Claire collapsed when the verdict was read. Her lawyer caught her, but she was sobbing, screaming that it wasn't fair, that she'd loved Aaron. The judge set sentencing for 2 weeks later. When the day came, I gave a victim impact statement. Your Honor, Claire didn't just steal from me. She stole my son's final months. While he was dying, while he should have been at peace, she tortured him. She made him feel worthless. She counted down the days until he'd be gone so she could cash in. I looked at Claire. My son recorded everything because he knew no one would believe him. He knew she'd play the grieving widow and everyone would feel sorry for her. But Aaron was smarter than that. He left proof. He left the truth. She didn't just try to steal my house. She tried to erase me, lock me away, make me disappear so she could take everything my family built. But she failed. Because my son loved me more than she hated me. The judge sentenced Claire to 8 years in prison. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy, elder abuse. 8 years to think about what she'd done. As they let her out, she finally spoke to me. I hope you're happy, Martin. I didn't respond. Just watched her disappear through the doors. Outside the courthouse, Dalton put a hand on my shoulder. It's over. Yeah, it's over. I drove back to Willow Creek Lane. Back to my house. The house was mine again, but it didn't feel like home. Not yet. I spent the first week after the trial scrubbing every trace of Claire from the walls. Repainted Aaron's bedroom. Tore out the modern furniture she'd bought and replaced it with pieces from storage. The couch Evelyn picked out in 1987, the coffee table Aaron and I built when he was 13. Slowly, the house started breathing again. But at night, when everything was quiet, I'd sit in Aaron's room and read his journal. Over and over. Looking for answers I'd never find. One entry kept haunting me. Sometimes I wonder if Dad knows how much I love him. If he knows that everything I'm doing, the recordings, the planning, all of it, is because I can't let her hurt him. He's all I have left of Mom. And if Claire takes him from me too, even after I'm gone, then what was any of this for? I put the journal down and cried. My son had died protecting me, and I'd spent years not realizing he needed protecting too. The doorbell rang. I wiped my eyes and answered it. A woman stood on the porch, mid-30s, holding a folder. She looked nervous. Mr. Claiborne. Yes. My name is Rachel Simmons. I worked with Aaron at the marketing firm. Can I talk to you for a minute? I hesitated, then opened the door wider. Come in. She sat on the couch, clutching the folder like it might escape. I made coffee neither of us drank. I've been trying to work up the courage to come here for weeks, she said. Ever since the trial ended. What's this about? She opened the folder and pulled out printed emails. These are messages between Aaron and me. From about a year before he died. I took them. The first one was dated 14 months ago. Rachel, I need advice. Things with Claire are getting worse. I don't know what to do. Her response, Aaron, you need to leave her. What you're describing isn't normal. His reply, I can't. If I leave, she'll go after my dad. She's already threatened it. Said she'd make sure he loses everything if I try to divorce her. My hands shook. Rachel's voice was quiet. He was trapped, Mr. Claiborne. She threatened him. Told him if he left, she'd destroy you. So he stayed. Even when he got sick, even when she treated him horribly, he stayed because he thought it would protect you. Why didn't he tell me? Because he knew you'd tell him to leave anyway. And he couldn't risk it. She pulled out another email. Read this one. It was from 2 months before Aaron died. Rachel, I've made arrangements. If something happens to me, my dad will be taken care of. Claire won't get anything. I've documented everything, the threats, the abuse, all of it. Mr. Dalton has copies. I just need to hold on a little longer. Rachel looked at me with tears in her eyes. He spent his last months building a case against her. Not for himself. For you. I couldn't speak. I wanted you to know that Aaron talked about you constantly. How proud he was to be your son. How much he loved you. She stood up. And I wanted you to have these emails. So you'd know the whole truth. She handed me the folder and walked to the door. Miss Simmons. She turned. Thank you. She nodded and left. I spent that night reading every email. Pages and pages of Aaron reaching out for help, documenting Claire's behavior, planning his defense. And in every message, he mentioned me. I can't let her hurt my dad. He doesn't deserve this. I have to protect him. My son had sacrificed his happiness, his peace, his final days, all to keep me safe. The next morning, I got another visitor. This time it was Detective Mills. Mr. Claiborne, we need to talk. It's about Claire. My stomach dropped. What about her? She's been making calls from prison. To someone we've been monitoring. Who? Mills pulled out her phone and played a recording. Claire's voice crackled through the speaker. I don't care what it costs. I want him gone. A man's voice responded. Gone as in scared, or gone as in permanent? Permanent. He took everything from me. I want him to suffer. My blood went cold. Mills stopped the recording. She tried to hire someone to hurt you. We arrested the contact yesterday. He's cooperating fully. She's in prison. How is she still? Desperate people find ways. She used a contraband phone, reached out to someone from her past. Mills's expression hardened. We're adding attempted murder for hire to her charges. She won't see daylight for 20 years. I sat down, dizzy. Mr. Claiborne, I need you to be careful. We don't know if she contacted anyone else. I'm assigning an officer to patrol your street for the next few weeks. I don't understand. Why does she hate me this much? Because you won. You exposed her. And people like Claire can't handle losing. After Mills left, I locked every door, checked every window. The house that had finally started feeling like home suddenly felt dangerous. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow looked like a threat. Around midnight, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello. Heavy breathing on the other end. Mr. Claiborne. A man's voice, low and cold. You should have let her have the house. Who is this? A friend. Someone who doesn't like people who hurt women. Claire tried to. I don't care what she tried. I care about what you did. And you're going to pay for it. The line went dead. I called Mills immediately. She sent officers to my house within minutes. We're tracing the call, she said. But Mr. Claiborne, I think you need to consider relocating. Just temporarily. This is my house. I'm not leaving. Then we'll keep the patrol here 24/7. For the next 3 days, police cars sat outside my house around the clock. Neighbors started asking questions. Word spread that I was in danger. On the 4th day, I got a letter. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. Me, sitting on my porch that morning. Someone had been watching. Written on the back. Soon. Mills took the letter and increased security. But I knew the truth. If someone wanted to hurt me badly enough, eventually they'd find a way. That's when I made a decision. I called Dalton. I need you to add something to my will. Martin, what's going on? If something happens to me, I want the house sold and the money donated to a cancer research charity. In Aaron's name. Claire gets nothing. Not even the satisfaction of knowing I'm gone. Martin, just do it. Please. He agreed. That night, I sat in Aaron's room, looking at his photos on the wall. Pictures of him as a kid, as a teenager, as a man. Happy. Smiling. I'm sorry, son, I whispered. You spent your life protecting me, and now I'm still in danger because of her. But then I remembered something Aaron wrote in his journal. Don't let her win. No matter what happens, don't let her win. I wouldn't. The next morning, I got a call from Mills. We found him. The man who sent the letter. He's in custody. Who was he? Claire's ex-boyfriend from before she met Aaron. She contacted him from prison, told him you destroyed her life, offered him money to scare you. Just scare me. Mills hesitated. He had a gun in his car, Mr. Claiborne. I don't think scaring you was the end goal. I felt sick. But he's locked up now. And we've moved Claire to a higher security facility. No phone access. No contact with the outside world. Is it over? It's over. But as I hung up, I wondered if it ever really would be. Because even behind bars, Claire had found a way to reach me. To try to hurt me. To finish what she started. And something told me this wasn't the end. 3 months passed. The police patrols stopped. Life returned to something close to normal. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched. I started going to a grief counselor. Her name was Dr. Patricia Keene, and she worked out of a small office downtown. She was patient, kind, and didn't push me to talk before I was ready. You've been through multiple traumas, she said during our 3rd session. Losing your son, being betrayed by your daughter-in-law, nearly being killed. It's going to take time to process all of that. I just want to feel safe in my own home again. That's understandable. But safety isn't just physical. It's emotional too. You need to grieve not just Aaron's death, but the loss of the future you imagined. The family you thought you'd have. She was right. I'd spent so many years imagining grandchildren running through the house, holidays with Aaron and his family, growing old watching my son thrive. Claire had stolen all of that. One afternoon, I was at the hardware store buying paint when someone called my name. Martin. Martin Claiborne. I turned. A woman about my age, silver hair, warm smile. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. I'm sorry, do I know you? It's Janet. Janet Reeves. From high school. It clicked. Janet had been in my graduating class, 1971. We'd been friendly but lost touch after graduation. Janet, wow. It's been 54 years, she finished with a laugh. I know. I moved back to town a few months ago. My husband passed away last year and I wanted to be closer to my daughter. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. I heard about Aaron. I'm so sorry, Martin. I remember when he was born. Evelyn was so proud. We talked for a while, catching up on decades of life. She told me about her children, her grandchildren, her career as a teacher. I told her about construction, about raising Aaron alone, about everything that had happened with Claire. My God, she said when I finished. That's horrific. It's been a rough year. I can imagine. She hesitated. Listen, this might be forward, but a few of us from the class of '71 meet for coffee every Thursday at Maggie's Diner. Would you want to join us sometime? Might be good to reconnect with people. I hadn't socialized in months, but something about Janet's smile made me say yes. I'd like that. That Thursday, I met 6 people from my high school class. Some I remembered, some I didn't. But they were warm, welcoming, and for 2 hours I forgot about Claire, about the trial, about everything. I started going every week. Janet and I began talking more outside of the group. She'd call to check in, invite me to dinner with her family, send me articles she thought I'd find interesting. One evening, she asked if I'd like to take a walk. We ended up at the park where Aaron used to play as a kid. "This is where Evelyn and I used to bring him every Saturday," I said, pointing to the swing set. "He'd spend hours on those swings. Never wanted to leave." Janet smiled. "You really loved being a father." "It was the best thing I ever did." My voice cracked. And Claire tried to make me forget that. Tried to make me feel like I didn't deserve to remember him. "But you do. And you will. For the rest of your life." We sat on a bench watching the sunset. And for the first time since Aaron died, I felt something other than grief. Hope. Over the next few months, Janet and I grew closer. Nothing romantic, just companionship. Someone who understood loss, who didn't try to fix me, who just let me exist. She helped me repaint the house. Helped me sort through Aaron's belongings. Sat with me on the hard days when grief hit like a truck. One afternoon, we were boxing up some of Claire's leftover items I'd found in the attic when Janet pulled out a small black notebook. "What's this?" I took it from her. It was another journal, but this one was Claire's. My hands shook as I opened it. The first entry was dated 6 years ago, right after she met Aaron. "Met someone today at a company event. Aaron Claiborne. Boring job, boring personality, but his father owns a house in a good neighborhood. No mortgage. Paid off. Could be useful." I felt sick. Janet put a hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to read this." But I did. I needed to see how deep her deception went. Entry after entry detailed her plan. How she'd researched Aaron's family, learned about the house, discovered that I had no other heirs. How she'd crafted a personality she thought Aaron would fall for. Played the sweet girlfriend today. Brought his father cookies. "The old man loves me. This is going to be easier than I thought." Further in, Aaron proposed. "Idiot thinks I actually love him. The wedding better be worth it." I told him I wanted something big. Let the old man pay for it. He's got the savings. Tears blurred my vision. The final entries were from when Aaron got sick. "Finally. I've been waiting for an excuse to cash in. 6 months, they said. I can do 6 months. Then I'll be free, rich, and rid of both of them." I dropped the journal. Janet picked it up, read a few pages, and her face went pale. "Martin, you need to give this to the police." "Why?" "She's already in prison. Because this proves premeditation from the very beginning. This isn't just fraud. This is conspiracy spanning years. They need to see this." I called Detective Mills. She came to the house immediately, read the journal, and her expression darkened with every page. "This changes everything. With this evidence, we can pursue additional charges. Claire didn't just forge a will, she orchestrated a multi-year con to defraud your family." "What does that mean?" "It means she's never getting out." The new charges were filed within a week. Claire's lawyer tried to fight it, but the journal was damning. Combined with Aaron's videos, the forged will, and the attempted murder for hire, Claire was looking at life in prison. The final hearing was short. The judge read the new evidence, looked at Claire, and spoke. "Mrs. Claiborne, you didn't just commit crimes. You orchestrated a calculated, years-long scheme to exploit a grieving family. You married a man you didn't love, waited for him to die, and tried to destroy his father. The court finds this level of premeditation and malice extraordinary." Claire started crying. "I made mistakes, but You made choices," the judge interrupted. "Deliberate, cruel choices. And now you'll live with the consequences." Life in prison without possibility of parole for 25 years. Claire screamed as they led her away. This isn't fair. He turned everyone against me. I watched her disappear through the doors one final time. Mills walked over. It's really over now. Yeah, it is. Outside the courthouse, Janet was waiting. How do you feel? Tired, but relieved. Want to get dinner? Actually, I want to go home, to my home, and just sit in peace. She smiled. That sounds perfect. That night, I sat in my living room surrounded by photos of Aaron. The house was quiet, but it wasn't empty. It was full of memories, good ones, ones Claire could never touch. I thought about everything Aaron had done to protect me. The will, the videos, the journal. He'd built a fortress around his father even as he was dying. And it had worked. But as I sat there, I heard something outside. Footsteps on the porch. I stood up, heart racing. A knock at the door. I looked through the peephole and froze. A woman stood there. Young, mid-20s, with Aaron's eyes. She knocked again. I opened the door slowly. Can I help you? She looked nervous. Are you Martin Claiborne? Yes. I'm Emma. Emma Claiborne. She took a shaky breath. I'm your granddaughter. The world tilted. That's impossible. Aaron didn't have. He didn't know about me. Neither did Claire. Tears filled her eyes. But I need to talk to you. It's important. And it's about my mother. I stared at her, unable to move. Because if Aaron had a daughter he didn't know about, then everything I thought I knew about my son's life was wrong. I let Emma inside, though every instinct told me to be careful. Too much had happened. Too many lies. She sat on the couch, hands folded, looking around the room like she was memorizing it. This is where he grew up, she said softly. Who's your mother? Emma pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. A woman I didn't recognize. Dark hair, kind eyes, maybe 40 years old. Her name is Lisa Brennan. She and Aaron dated in college. Before Claire. I remembered Lisa. Aaron had mentioned her a few times during his sophomore year. Said she was smart, funny, studying to be a nurse. Then one day he stopped talking about her. I'd assumed they broke up. Aaron and my mom dated for 8 months, Emma continued. Then she found out she was pregnant. But before she could tell him, Aaron met Claire. My mom saw them together at a campus event. Heard him talking about this amazing new woman he'd met. So she never told him. Emma shook her head. She didn't want to trap him. Didn't want him to stay with her out of obligation. So she transferred schools, moved away, and raised me on her own. Why are you telling me this now? Because my mom is sick. Stage 3 breast cancer. She's been getting treatment, but it's not working. Emma's voice broke. She told me about Aaron a few months ago. Told me I had a father I'd never met. I wanted to find him, to tell him about me, but when I searched his name, you found out he died. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I was too late. And then I found articles about the trial, about Claire, about everything she did to you. And I thought maybe you'd want to know you have a granddaughter. That Aaron left something good behind. I stared at this young woman who had my son's eyes, my son's smile. Part of me wanted to believe her. Wanted desperately to have a piece of Aaron back. But I'd learned the hard way that people lie. Do you have proof? Emma reached into her bag and pulled out documents. A birth certificate with Aaron's name listed as father. Photos of a baby, her as an infant, being held by a younger Lisa. Medical records. And finally, a DNA test. My mom had Aaron's DNA on file from when they dated, a hair sample from a brush she'd kept. I know how that sounds, but she wasn't trying to trap him. She just couldn't let go of everything. Emma handed me the test results. I had them run it against my DNA. It's a 99.9% match. Aaron was my father. I looked at the documents. They seemed legitimate, but I wasn't an expert. I need to verify this. I understand. I brought everything you'd need. She wrote down her phone number. I'm staying at the motel on Route 9, room 114. Take whatever time you need. But Mr. Claiborne, I'd really like to get to know you, if you'll let me. After she left, I called Dalton immediately. Martin, slow down. What's going on? I explained everything. He listened without interrupting. Bring me the documents tomorrow. I'll have them verified. If she's telling the truth, this changes things. Changes what? Aaron's estate. If Emma is his biological daughter, she has a legal claim to part of his inheritance. My stomach dropped. You think she's here for money? I think we need to be careful. Verify everything before you get attached. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept looking at the photos Emma had left. Baby pictures, school photos, graduation. An entire life Aaron never knew about. If it was real, it meant Aaron had died without knowing he was a father. That somewhere out there, a daughter had grown up without him. But if it wasn't real, it meant someone else was trying to exploit my grief. The next morning, I brought everything to Dalton. He spent 3 hours going through documents, making calls, verifying dates. Finally, he looked up. It's legitimate. The birth certificate, the medical records, the DNA test, all of it checks out. Emma is Aaron's biological daughter. I sat down hard. My son had a child, and she's entitled to a portion of his estate. Legally, as a biological heir, she has rights. I don't care about the money. Maybe not. But she might. We need to establish her intentions before we proceed. I called Emma and asked her to meet me at a coffee shop downtown. She arrived early, looking nervous. We sat across from each other, both unsure how to start. The DNA test is real, I said finally. You're Aaron's daughter. She exhaled, relieved. I wasn't sure you'd believe me. I had to be careful. After everything with Claire. I understand. And Mr. Claiborne, I want you to know, I'm not here for money. My mom and I, we've gotten by. She worked 2 jobs to put me through college. We're okay. Then why are you here? Her eyes filled with tears. Because my mom is dying. And before she goes, she wanted me to know my father's family. She felt guilty for keeping me from him. Said Aaron deserved to know he had a daughter. Emma pulled out a letter. She wrote this for you. Asked me to give it to you if I ever found you. I took the letter with shaking hands. Martin, I don't know if you remember me. Lisa Brennan. Aaron and I dated in college. I loved him, but I knew I wasn't the one he'd choose. When I got pregnant, I made a choice, a selfish choice, not to tell him. I thought I was setting him free, letting him be happy. But I robbed him of knowing his daughter. And I robbed Emma of knowing her father. I've regretted it every day. If you're reading this, it means Emma found you. Please don't blame her for my mistakes. She's a good person. Aaron would have been proud of her. I hope you can forgive me. Lisa. I folded the letter carefully. I'd like to meet your mother. Emma's face lit up. Really? Aaron would have wanted to know he had a daughter. And even though I can't give him that, I can give her what he would have wanted, family. 2 days later, Emma drove me to the hospice facility where Lisa was staying. It was clean, quiet, with gardens outside the windows. Lisa was in bed, thin and pale, but her eyes were the same ones from the photo Aaron had shown me decades ago. "Martin," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." I sat beside her bed. "Aaron told me about you once. Said you were the kindest person he'd ever met. He was the love of my life. But I let him go because I thought that's what was best. He would have wanted to know about Emma. I know. And I'll regret that decision until my last breath." She looked at Emma standing in the doorway. "But she turned out perfect anyway." We talked for hours. Lisa told me stories about Aaron I'd never heard, how he'd stay up all night helping her study, how he'd leave notes in her textbooks, how he'd talked about becoming a father someday. "He would have been a great dad," Lisa said. "I robbed him of that chance." "You made the choice you thought was right. Doesn't make it hurt less." Before I left, Lisa grabbed my hand. "Please look after her. She's all I'm leaving behind." "I will. I promise." Lisa died 3 weeks later. Emma called me in tears, and I drove to the hospital immediately. We sat together in the room, holding Lisa's hands until the end. At the funeral, I stood beside Emma as they lowered her mother into the ground. And I thought about Aaron's funeral, about standing alone in the rain, about losing my son. But this time, I wasn't alone. After the service, Emma turned to me. "I don't have anyone now." "Yes, you do. You have me." She hugged me, and for the first time since Aaron died, I felt like I had a reason to keep going. Over the next few months, Emma and I built a relationship. She'd come over for dinner, help me with projects around the house, tell me stories about growing up. She had Aaron's sense of humor, his kindness, his work ethic. Being around her was like having a piece of my son back. One evening, she asked about Claire. I told her everything. The forged will, the videos, the trial. All of it. "She sounds like a monster." She was. But she's gone now. And I'm not letting her memory poison what I have left. Emma smiled. "Aaron would be proud of you." "I hope so." A few weeks later, Dalton called. "Martin, we need to discuss Emma's inheritance." "What about it?" "As Aaron's biological daughter, she's entitled to half of his estate. The house, the savings, everything." "Then give it to her." "Martin, that's a substantial amount." "Are you sure?" "Aaron would have wanted his daughter taken care of." "I don't need it all. Split it evenly." Emma tried to refuse when I told her. "I don't want your money." "It's not my money. It's Aaron's. And he would have wanted you to have it." She cried. "Thank you. Your family. That's what family does." But that night, I got a phone call from the prison. "Mr. Claiborne, this is Warden Phillips from Riverside Correctional. I'm calling about Claire Claiborne." My blood went cold. "What about her?" "She's requested to speak with you. Says it's urgent." "Tell her no." "Sir, she's claiming she has information about your son's death. Says there's something you don't know." I hung up. But the call haunted me. What could Claire possibly know about Aaron's death? He died of cancer. The doctors confirmed it. Unless... No. It was another manipulation. Another lie. But what if it wasn't? I tried to ignore the warden's call, but it ate at me. 3 days later, I broke down and called him back. "I'll see her. Once. That's it." "Understood. I'll arrange a visit for this Saturday." I didn't tell Emma. Didn't want to drag her into whatever game Claire was playing. But I called Janet. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "No. But I need to know what she's talking about." "Then I'm coming with you." Saturday morning, Janet and I drove to Riverside Correctional. The facility was cold, gray, surrounded by chain-link fences and guard towers. We went through security, signed paperwork, and were led to a visiting room with plastic chairs and a table bolted to the floor. Claire was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hair shorter, no makeup. She looked older, tired. She sat down across from me and smiled. The same cold smile from that night in the rain. "Hello, Martin." I didn't respond. Her eyes flicked to Janet. "Who's this?" "Your new wife already." "What do you want, Claire?" She leaned back. "I've had a lot of time to think in here. About Aaron. About everything that happened. Good for you. And I realized something. You never asked how Aaron got sick." My jaw tightened. "He had cancer. Pancreatic cancer." "Right. Stage 4. Inoperable. Terminal." She tilted her head. "But did you know pancreatic cancer can be caused by prolonged exposure to certain chemicals?" The room tilted. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying Aaron didn't just get sick, Martin. He was poisoned." Janet grabbed my arm. "She's lying." "Am I?" Claire smiled wider. "Ask the doctors. Ask them if they tested for environmental toxins. Ask them if they checked for arsenic exposure." "You're insane." "Maybe. Or maybe I'm the only one telling you the truth." She leaned forward. "Aaron was healthy. Worked out, ate well, no family history of cancer. Then suddenly, stage 4? Doesn't that seem strange?" My hands shook. "If what you're saying is true, then Then I what? Killed him." She laughed. "I didn't have to, Martin. Someone else did it for me." "Who?" "That's the question, isn't it?" She stood up. "Maybe you should ask Emma." My blood turned to ice. Emma had nothing to do with this. She didn't even know Aaron existed. Didn't she? Claire's smile vanished. "Maybe you should ask her about the letters she sent him 2 years ago. The ones begging him to meet her. The ones he ignored." "You're lying." "Am I?" "Check his email. Username A. Claiborne 87. Password Evelyn 1969. See for yourself." The guard came to take her back. As she walked away, she called over her shoulder, "Enjoy your granddaughter, Martin. Hope she doesn't poison your coffee." The drive home was silent. Janet kept glancing at me, but I couldn't speak. When I got home, I went straight to Aaron's old laptop, the one I'd kept in storage. Powered it on. Typed in the credentials Claire had given me. The account opened. I went to his archived emails and searched for Emma's name. My heart stopped. Dozens of emails. Sent over a 2-year period. Starting 3 years ago. "Aaron, my name is Emma Brennan. I think I'm your daughter. My mother is Lisa. Please write back. Aaron, I know this is shocking, but I'd really like to meet you. Please. Aaron, I don't understand why you're ignoring me. I just want to know my father." The last email was dated 6 months before Aaron got sick. "Aaron, if you don't want to know me, fine. But you should know someone's been asking questions about your family. About your father. About his house. I thought you should know. Please be careful." I clicked on Aaron's sent folder. No replies. Not a single one. Either Aaron never saw these emails, or he chose not to respond. But if he'd seen the warning about someone asking questions about me, about the house. I called Dalton. "I need you to pull Aaron's medical records. All of them. I need to know if they tested for toxins." "Martin, what's going on? Just do it. Please." 3 days later, Dalton called back. "I spoke to Aaron's oncologist. They did test for environmental factors. The results showed elevated levels of arsenic in his system." The room spun. What does that mean? It means Aaron was exposed to arsenic over a prolonged period. The doctor noted it in his file, but attributed it to possible workplace exposure. Aaron worked with industrial materials. Or someone was poisoning him. Martin. Claire said Emma did it. That she's been planning this for years. That's insane. Emma wasn't even in Aaron's life. But she tried to be. She sent him emails. Warned him about someone asking questions. I paced. What if Claire knew about Emma? What if she used her somehow? That's a serious accusation. You need proof. I hung up and called Emma. Can you come over? We need to talk. She arrived an hour later, looking concerned. What's wrong? Did you send Aaron emails? 3 years ago. Her face fell. Yes. I found him on social media, tracked down his email. I wanted to meet him. And he never responded. No. I thought maybe he didn't believe me. Or didn't care. She looked hurt. Why? Did you warn him about someone asking questions? Yes. I was working at a coffee shop near his office. A woman came in, started asking the baristas about Aaron. About his family. It seemed weird, so I emailed him. What did this woman look like? Blonde, well-dressed, about 35. Claire. Did you tell anyone about the emails? Just my mom. And? She hesitated. And who? There was a private investigator. He contacted me about a year ago. Said he was working for Aaron's wife, doing a background check for insurance purposes. He asked about my relationship with Aaron. My heart sank. What did you tell him? The truth. That I was his daughter. That we'd never met. She looked panicked. Did I do something wrong? No. But someone used that information against Aaron. I pulled out my phone and showed her the arsenic results. Aaron was poisoned. 4 months. Someone was slowly killing him. Emma's face went white. You think it was Claire? I know it was. She used information about you to cover her tracks. Made it look like you were the threat. But I never even met him. I know. But she didn't need you to. She just needed your existence to be suspicious. Emma started crying. My father died thinking I was some kind of threat. No. He died protecting both of us. Even if he never met you, even if he ignored the emails, he left a will that protected his family. That includes you. I called Detective Mills. Told her everything. She listened, then sighed. Martin, arsenic poisoning is almost impossible to prove in a murder case without direct evidence. Claire's already serving life. Adding murder charges would require proof she administered the poison. Do you have any? She had access. She controlled his medication, his food, everything. That's circumstantial. We'd need witnesses, physical evidence, a confession. Then get a confession. She's not going to confess to murder. She already did. She told me Aaron was poisoned. She knew about the arsenic. Mills paused. That's not the same as admitting she did it. Then what do I do? You accept that some questions won't have answers. Claire's locked up for life. Your son's legacy is protected. Emma is safe. Sometimes that has to be enough. But it wasn't enough. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Aaron in his final months. Weak, dizzy, losing weight. Symptoms I'd attributed to cancer. What if it wasn't just cancer? What if Claire had been poisoning him slowly, making him sick, waiting for the inevitable? The next morning, I called the prison. I need to see Claire again. Sir, she's in restricted housing. No visitors except legal counsel. Tell her I know the truth about the arsenic. Tell her if she wants to clear her conscience before she dies in there, this is her chance. 2 days later, I got a call. She's agreed to see you. But it has to be monitored. Anything she says can be used in court. Good. This time I went alone. Walked into that visiting room with one purpose. Get the truth. Claire looked worse than before. Bruised. Thinner. Prison's not treating you well, I said. What do you want, Martin? I want you to tell me how you did it. How you poisoned Aaron. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she laughed. You can't prove anything. I don't need to prove it. You're already serving life. But I need to know. Did my son die naturally, or did you speed it up? Her smile faded. Does it matter? Yes. She leaned back, considering. Finally, she spoke. Aaron was going to divorce me. 2 years ago. He'd found a lawyer, started paperwork. So you made him sick. I made him weak. Small doses of arsenic in his vitamins. Not enough to kill him, just enough to make him too tired to fight. Too sick to leave. She said it so casually, like she was describing a recipe. Then he got the cancer diagnosis. Real cancer. Stage 4. And I realized I didn't have to do anything else. Nature was going to finish what I started. I couldn't breathe. But I kept going anyway. Kept giving him the arsenic. Made sure he was too weak to fight the cancer. Made sure he didn't have the strength to change his will or tell anyone about me. She smiled. I didn't kill him, Martin. I just helped him die faster. The monitor in the corner blinked red. Recording everything. Why are you telling me this? Because you'll never prove it in court. The cancer killed him. Officially. Legally. And even if you try to charge me with murder, I'll just say I'm lying now. That I wanted to hurt you one more time. She leaned forward. Either way, I win. No, Claire. You lost. You're going to die in here. Alone. Forgotten. And my son's daughter, the child you tried to frame, she's going to live in the house you wanted. She's going to have the life you tried to steal. Claire's smile faltered. Emma gets everything. The money, the house, the family. And every day you rot in here, she'll be living the life you killed for. I stood up. That's real justice. I walked out without looking back. Mills was waiting outside. We got it all on tape. Can you charge her? Attempted murder, maybe. Conspiracy to commit murder. It won't add much time to her sentence, but it'll be on her record. She'll be known as a murderer. Good. 3 months later, Claire was formally charged with the attempted murder of Aaron Claiborne. The trial was short. They played the tape of her confession. She tried to recant, claimed she'd lied, but the jury didn't believe her. Guilty. The judge added 15 years to her sentence, to be served consecutively. You poisoned a dying man, the judge said. Made his final months a living hell. You deserve every year you'll spend behind these walls. Claire was led away screaming. I never saw her again. 6 months after Claire's final conviction, I stood in the backyard of my house watching Emma plant a garden. She'd moved into Aaron's old room, turned it into something bright and alive. Grandpa, come help me with this, she called, struggling with a rosebush. Grandpa. The word still made my chest tight. I walked over, helped her dig the hole deeper, and together we planted the bush. Evelyn's favorite, yellow roses. Mom would have loved this, Emma said quietly. She would have loved you. We worked in silence for a while, dirt under our fingernails, sun on our backs. For the first time in years, the house felt like home again. Janet came over later with dinner. She and Emma had become close, almost like grandmother and granddaughter. We ate on the porch, watching the sunset, talking about everything and nothing. "I'm thinking about going back to school," Emma said. "Nursing program. Like my mom. Aaron would be proud," I said. "I wish I could have met him." "Me too. But he knew about you. In the emails. He saw your name. And even if he didn't respond, even if he didn't know how," my voice broke, "he left you everything that mattered. This house. This family. This life." Emma hugged me. "Thank you for giving me a home. Thank you for giving me a reason to keep fighting." That night, after everyone left, I sat in Aaron's room looking at the photos Emma had hung on the walls. Pictures of Lisa, of Emma growing up, of the life Aaron never got to see. I pulled out his journal one last time. Read the final entry again. "I love you, Dad. And I'm sorry you have to see all this. But I needed you to know who she really is. I needed you to understand why I did what I did." "I understand now, son," I whispered. "And I promise, I won't let her memory poison what you left behind." I closed the journal and put it on the shelf next to Emma's baby photos. The house breathed around me. The same house I'd built with my own hands 40 years ago. The same walls that held Evelyn's laughter, Aaron's first steps, every memory that mattered. Claire had tried to take it. Tried to erase us. Tried to rewrite our story. But she'd failed. Because love, real love, doesn't die with the people we lose. It defends. It protects. It outlasts every lie, every manipulation, every cruelty. Aaron had proven that. And now Emma would carry it forward. 3 years later, I stood in that same backyard watching Emma graduate from nursing school. She wore her mother's stethoscope around her neck and Aaron's smile on her face. "I wish they could see you," I said. "They can," she replied. "I feel them. Every day." She was right. Some presences never leave. They live in the choices we make, the love we give, the truth we protect. Claire died in prison 2 years after that. Heart attack. I didn't go to the funeral. Neither did Emma. We planted another rosebush instead. Red this time. For Aaron. "Do you think he forgives me?" Emma asked, her hands in the dirt. "For not fighting harder to meet him? There's nothing to forgive. You were a child. And Aaron, wherever he is, he knows you tried. He knows you cared." "I hope so. I know so. Because that's what family does. We fight for each other. We protect each other. We forgive each other. Even across time. Even across death. Even when the world tries to tear us apart." Now, 5 years after I buried my son, I sit on this porch every morning with coffee and watch Emma leave for her nursing shifts. She stops at the garden, touches the yellow roses, whispers something I can't hear. I know she's talking to her father. And I know Aaron hears her. Because love like that doesn't fade. It doesn't disappear. It just changes form, becomes something stronger, something that can't be stolen or destroyed. Claire thought wealth was power. Thought possession meant victory. But she was wrong. The real inheritance Aaron left wasn't the house or the money. It was the truth. The proof. The shield he built around the people he loved. And that inheritance. It'll outlive all of us. Every evening, I walk through these rooms and remember. Evelyn choosing paint colors. Aaron taking his first steps. Emma planting gardens. The house breathes with us. Just like Evelyn said it would. And sometimes, late at night when everything's quiet, I swear I can hear Aaron's voice. "Thanks, Dad. For not giving up. For protecting what matters." "Always, son," I whisper back. "Always. Because that's what fathers do. We build homes. We raise children. We fight battles we never wanted to fight. And when we're gone, we leave behind something stronger than walls. We leave behind love. The kind that defends from beyond the grave. The kind that turns tragedy into triumph. The kind that reminds everyone who hears this story, truth always wins. Justice always comes. And family, real family, never dies. It just keeps growing. One garden, one memory, one generation at a time. This is Martin Claiborne's story. A father who lost everything and found something he didn't know he had. A granddaughter. A second chance. A reason to believe that even in our darkest moments, hope survives. If you're watching this and you've lost someone you love, know this. Their legacy isn't what they left in a will. It's what they left in your heart. Protect it. Honor it. Let it grow. And never ever let someone like Claire convince you that love can be bought, sold, or stolen. Because it can't. It's the one thing that truly lasts forever. Thank you for listening to my story. For caring about my son. For believing that truth matters. Aaron would have liked that. And somewhere, I think he's smiling. If this story touched you, if it reminded you to protect what matters most, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We share true stories of love, loss, justice, and hope. Stories that inspire us to fight for truth even when it's hardest. Leave a comment below telling us what you think. Have you ever had to fight for justice? Have you ever discovered the truth too late? Share your story. Your words might inspire someone else who's struggling. And most importantly, share this video. Someone out there needs to hear that they're not alone. That fighting for truth is worth it. That love really does outlast everything. Until the next story, remember, family isn't just blood. It's the people who fight for you. The ones who protect you. The ones who refuse to let your story be rewritten by someone else's lies. Hold them close. Protect them fiercely. And never stop fighting for truth. Because in the end, that's all we really have.